Welcome to the Kryptonaut Podcast. I am Mark Storrs, and with me as always is
Chris Carnicelli
and
Rob Morphy.
Thank y'all so very much for joining us for this week's episode, the Dubno Abductors Part 2. We left them all hanging for quite a while.
We did.
I hope you remember.
We actually didn't, because it'll be released in a way that it'll seem pretty together.
Well, yes, for the listeners, this will be seamless, but for us, there was a gap there.
Yeah, no.
It's been like
gap.
5 years.
I had teeth ripped out and mayhem, and yeah, we've all had some troubles.
Yeah, no, you got your wisdom teeth taken out, and you were all like, what, how many stitches? 57?
57.
You look like you're doing good, though. You look
yeah,
great.
no,
You look great.
I feel
That's
so
a
much
lot
better.
of stitches.
Fantastic.
It was a shit show for a couple days,
totally.
I'll be honest.
Totally.
But now, good as gold.
Your jaw's reconnected.
Yeah,
Thank
finally.
God. Jesus.
Dislocated like an anaconda.
So before we get started, Patreon. Patreon.com/Kryptonaut Podcast. Thank you all so very much. We appreciate the support. We have some episodes coming out at the end of September and the beginning of October. They're going to be pretty super fun. So check that out. $1 gets you a shout out. $5 gets you a shout out and some bonus audio.
Bonus.
Big
and I
bonus.
believe the shout outs are going to be in the next episode. We have a whole list of them to do. So
I think due to my oral surgery, folks got a little taste of the Patreon love.
They did, yeah. We actually released the Elf Sex episode that was Patreon specific out into the normal, to the regular feed.
Which is certainly going to enhance all of our abilities to get elected as senators someday.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, 100%.
You know, our political careers are looking awesome.
Oh, they've always been glowing, though.
Totally. So, also, too, we haven't talked about it in a while, but TeePublic. We got some T-shirts over there.
And more to come.
Rob and I
finished up
actually,
some stuff.
Yeah, this morning, Rob and I were talking about some artwork. He sent me some stuff, and I started getting some designs together. So be sure to check that out. The link will be in the description of this podcast. I think that's it.
I think
That's all
that
we
is.
got.
I think now we can jump in. Deuce.
Let's jump in here to the Dubno Abductors Part 2. Let's get started with. In the dead of night, in the winter of 2008, Vladimir and Olga Voronezhskiy were sucked up in a beam of light by an alien spacecraft populated with crawling caterpillar creatures and a looming Grim Reaper-like being. In the hours that would follow, this ordinary couple would not only be subjected to ghoulish experiments, but would learn startling secrets about an intergalactic war, the nature of God, and the origins of the human race.
This shit gets deep.
Oh, Yahweh.
It gets deep. It gets fucking weird. And I love it.
This sounds like it has this is hitting all the points that I like. Ghoulish experiments.
Ghoulish experiments, okay.
I love
the
that.
nature of God.
The nature of God.
The nature of God.
Because I've never known you to particularly love that.
I love me an intergalactic war.
You do.
And I sure
Everyone
do.
likes
I
that,
sure
though.
do love the origins of the human race.
All right, there you go.
All right.
It is
See?
your trifecta.
You're
right.
This is my Thanksgiving.
So, I'm...
This is my Independence Day.
Yeah, this is my July 4th.
We're just going to jump right into it, right where we left off.
All right, let's do it.
Okay. Olga's heart sank as she watched her husband's valiant but futile efforts to rescue her. But she too was quickly overwhelmed by the diminutive undulating caterpillar creatures and let them carry her to the quasi-gynecological chair. One of the creatures gestured for Olga to lie down. She complied without protest, perhaps hoping that her cooperation might spare her any undue anguish. She would be disappointed. The terrified mother looked around. She likely knew just enough about abduction lore through the usual pop culture channels to be wary about the procedures allegedly endured by other abductees, and was relieved to see no evidence of surgical equipment or any other medical implements. It would be at that moment that Olga received the shock of her young life.
Not for nothing, she is staring down the barrel of a quasi-gynecological chair.
Yeah. Just,
So-
I guess, stirrupy and semi-dental, but oddly alien.
So that should be enough to be like, hey, you know what? Warning bells.
No, I know.
Big red flag.
But it's not always
maybe
a
you just don't capitulate. Just try to throw some fists.
All right, cool.
Okay. The first thing she noticed was the smell.
Oh, God.
It was a nauseating combination of feces, wet meat, and the distinctly metallic scent of blood.
Oh, not good.
No,
Not
why
good.
is this bad?
First off,
I smell shit and blood.
perfect cologne.
Is this a fucking Tool video or something? 'Cause that's what they look like. They smell like shit
It is
and
a
blood.
horror show.
All right.
Olga glanced down and to her eternal horror saw that she had a huge incision in her stomach and that her internal organs were now exposed.
Perfect.
Not what you want.
The hot
You don't
stuff.
want to look down and be like, oh, there's my bladder.
Nobody, I can't even recognize my own bladder. If I ever looked down and saw that shit, I'd be like, the fuck?
Yeah.
The fuck are you? Probably a bladder.
Maybe not, though.
My
Maybe
spleen.
not. I don't know. Could be my liver.
Could be.
It
Never
might
know.
be a kidney. I don't know what you are.
There you go, spleen.
I'm not a fucking doctor. Olga had no idea how these things had performed the procedure so rapidly, much less how they had managed to do so without her noticing. Even stranger was the fact that she had suffered no pain whatsoever, and instead of panic, she felt a sudden surge of tranquility wash over her, although the smell of her insides left her with a vaguely unpleasant sensation. That just makes sense.
What does that even smell like?
I know. I was thinking the same thing.
Well,
like,
I mean, to go back to a reference that upset one reviewer, I believe his name was Joe Loy or whatever, when I talked about my vasectomy.
oh, right.
Yeah, no, when I was getting that done, I could smell the burning when they were cauterized.
Yeah, but that's burning. That's just not like
Right.
what your insides smell like.
Yeah, I couldn't smell my open sack, but
Well, I think-
it'd be weird if I did.
think of it this way:
but-
like the metallic scent of blood
got
and the little
sort
bit of
of
turd.
yeah, but the smell of blood. enough
Well,
to
maybe not.
The smell of blood.
If you're not cutting into a
test,
intestine, why would you smell turd?
She did. Maybe they did.
I'm
That was
assuming if you
someone
open a
else's
body up,
shit.
it just stinks. It
Or,
can't be. It can't be.
None
good.
of us know, but I just know.
Yeah.
Even the hint of, even if you just smelled like something completely pleasant at that moment that you're seeing that, it's ruined. If it's like fucking
Yeah, no.
T-bone steak, if it's something just wonderful,
'Cause-
popcorn, that
Yeah,
you
no.
usually love at a theater. Once you see that shit and you smell it, you're like, fuck all, fuck.
Yeah,
I think
body.
we might have actually a listener that's that works in like body preparation. I believe like in a morgue. I'm almost positive. I think that she might actually be like a medical examiner or like an assistant medical examiner.
I'm
so
sure
she can tell
that
us
might
how
work.
how do bodies smell.
Living bodies and dead bodies, probably there is going to be. a
yeah,
difference.
I'd like to be like
Possibly.
somebody.
But let's
that's
ask.
quick.
Yeah,
on
let's
it.
ask 'em,
Corners. Anybody that's got.
Anybody out there, tell us how dead bodies.
do you know what
or
a
live
fresh open body smells
I
like? Let us
Any of our
know.
surgeon fans get a good
Yeah.
whiff.
bodies.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Either way, it left her with, like I said, a vaguely unpleasant sensation.
It's gross.
Olga placidly watched as three new beings, which she called the Doctors, used an array of unrecognizable medical instruments to take samples of her organs. Big fun. These new entities were evidently more humanoid than their masked caterpillar-like counterparts, but disturbingly lacked mouths, noses, and ears, although they also had 3 fingers on each hand.
Oh, it's gross.
So
though.
consistency at least.
Yeah, but it's still
so it's
weird,
just
yeah.
eyes,
Yeah, it's
blank ass
fucking-
face,
Yeah.
Or mannequin face.
It's
Yeah.
gross.
grubbles. These inhuman surgeons seemed to be particularly interested in her stomach, which they probed using what looked like a pair of pinchers and 3 clamps. All the while they were delving into her insides, the doctors were telepathically asking Olga if she was in any pain. She replied no. So that's good at least.
All right. I mean, the anesthetic obviously must
Yeah.
be kicking ass.
Unlike the emotionless creatures that had fought her husband and brought her to the chair, these beings used soothing tones and seemed to be genuinely empathetic. The doctors reassured her that, "We wouldn't do you any harm, we just want to look." It's still a little creepy.
It's still a little weird.
just
Yeah,
wanna
no, we're not going to
look.
hurt you. We just
Yeah.
want to look at your
Hey, we just
stomach.
want to take a gander at your guts, baby.
Yeah,
That's it.
If you're like, oh, look
Icky.
here, look, here's my stomach, and you're like, no, the inside, and you're like, no,
Oh, yeah.
don't do it. Oh no.
There's a waffle beer. If
Oh, there's a waffle beer that
Oh.
everyone can
You're not
taste.
Yeah.
No, I probably
no,
I
I'm
want nothing to
definitely
do
going
with
to want
it.
to sample some waffle beer.
waffle beer.
Unaware of the doctor's comforting demeanor or his wife's lack of physical pain, all Vladimir could do was watch with ever-increasing rage and horror as the virtually faceless fiends dug into his wife's guts and pulled pieces out, literally eviscerating her before his unbelieving eyes.
So it didn't dawn on me that after he was poked with the sticks and he's laying there
Yeah.
or with the rods.
Yeah, he's got 4
They're
rods in
doing
him.
this all in front of him.
Yeah.
So he's watching his wife become part of a Cannibal Corpse
Yeah.
cover art.
Yeah,
basically.
really, exactly.
Yeah, he's being a
100%.
cock.
Oh, God damn.
Jesus.
It's like, nah, no, go ahead.
Fucking go ahead and
no, go
fucking
ahead.
eviscerate her, I guess. Yes, he's watching this.
And not happy.
Oh, God, no. All right, cool.
It's a bad scene.
All right.
Just as the atrocities being inflicted on his wife were becoming too much to bear, the caterpillar critters raised Vladimir up and ushered him into another section of the room, where they calmly explained to him, perhaps in an attempt to soothe his rage by stroking his ego, and this is what they said, and I quote, "The female is the entity in a stage less developed than the male entity." I don't know what the context was.
Yeah, it developed as far as emotional, physical,
Exactly.
standing in the local community?
I have no
Yeah,
idea.
I don't.
They
no,
might have
I don't
some
know.
other marker
All
that
right.
you don't know of.
Maybe. All right. Yeah, could be.
As Vladimir was being indoctrinated by these intergalactic chauvinists, he realized
Yeah.
that the metal rods were no longer embedded in his torso, and what's more, that there were no signs of any wounds.
Things are starting to look up for him.
A little bit. Well,
Little
yeah,
bit.
you're the superior, and guess what? Your fucking death-inducing wounds are not
Yeah.
there, so I guess they are.
But your wife's still getting torn apart in the corner, so.
Meanwhile, Olga watched in wide-eyed wonder as the 3 alien doctors finished their procedure and resealed her stomach utilizing what she believed to be advanced biomolecular technology that she could not identify. That was what she called it.
All right, cool. What,
guess.
biomolecular?
She's like, I don't know what this is, but I feel like it's advanced
biomolecular
biomolecular technology.
It's
Cool.
funny.
Okay.
You could know just enough to know that,
Yeah, totally.
but I can't tell you specifics.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but it looks like advanced nuclear technology.
Miniaturized advanced nuclear technology. All right, well, hey, you know what? This is her story.
This is her story.
Exactly.
And we're not here to, well, yeah, we are here to
I mean,
judge.
a little bit,
we're here to
but-
report and then judge.
Yeah, or judge as we report.
We
so.
do that too.
All right, cool.
Olga was shocked to realize that not even a trace of a scar remained on her abdomen following surgery, and she was even more delighted to note that the chronic abdominal pains which had plagued her for years now seemed to be completely absent.
Oh, they took
Big
it away.
plus.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. Sweet.
But as relieved as she might have been for herself, it was now her turn to worry for her husband as she saw another faceless doctor place an instrument that resembled a pistol against his head.
Oh.
Then, inexplicably, pushed the entire mechanism into his skull, which is, needless to say, Videodrome as fuck.
Yeah, wow. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Just here's the fucking gun-like tool.
yeah.
Oh, it's in your
yeah.
head.
You're expecting it to pop
Yeah,
off, and then it
exactly.
just
Like,
goes
it's a
into the
shot,
skull.
it's
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, no,
Who
Happy
knows?
New Year.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. Happy Columbus Day.
It's fucked up.
All right, wow.
Vladimir was
Shit.
shocked not only by the revolver-like device's ability to breach his skull without doing damage, but also by the total dearth of pain accompanying
So
it.
he just like looks over like this, and there's just this thing going into his head.
Could you imagine that
Oh,
feeling?
fuck.
Like maybe you feel like pressure, and it's just like, loop, and you're like,
I don't know,
what
man. I don't
just
like
happened?
getting like shots, like needles and shit. I just feel weird watching
Yeah, I
them
don't
go in
even
my
like the
arm,
tiniest
I
penetrations
wouldn't
into
want
my
a metal
skin.
pistol going through my
Yeah, I know
head.
it happens,
Yeah.
though.
I mean, brains
It
are
happens.
delicate and important, so you know,
Facts. Yeah.
you might forget
Are
to
they?
subtract. Yeah, you never know.
Are they, though?
Addition is important.
The doctors then conducted what Vladimir referred to as a series of increasingly odd, quote unquote, through the looking glass medical tests on him, which I think it's a nice Lewis Carroll reference. Good
Yeah.
for you, Vladimir.
No,
Okay.
good.
Before finally telling him that the examination was over. Evidently, the object in his head was never removed.
Oh, look, you're done, and
Maybe
there's
it's a
metal thing sitting there.
metaphysical magic medical gun.
Maybe it's a spiritual medical gun.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, it's
kind
a-
of the same
it's a
thing.
go-
Metaphysics and spiritual are sort of synonymous.
It's a ghost gun.
It's a ghost gun.
Yeah,
Nailed
dude.
it. Yep.
Fuck
It's a
yeah.
gun
It
that's
is a
there,
ghost
but
gun.
you can't detect it.
Oh shit!
It's a ghost gun.
It's a ghost gun.
It's a ghost gun.
Ghost gun. Gun of a ghost. Ah.
No, trust me, it's there.
Oh god.
But you,
Oh my God.
you just can't tell it's there.
Jeez Louise.
By any means possible.
It was then that the swarming acolytes escorted Vladimir outside of the glass room and deposited him into a separate area occupied only by the nearly 7-foot-tall Grim Reaper-like entity, which the small beings respectfully referred to as the Professor.
Oh, you're in a room with the quote unquote professor
Oh,
who
this
looks
is
like
a
Grim Reaper-esque
quote, unquote.
11-foot tall
Yeah. Ooh, not good. All right.
prof.
Well, I mean, I guess he's the guy you got to talk to.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
When you're Karen and you need a manager, this is the guy you want to talk to.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Professor?
Being real Karen about it.
Academia.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Continue, Rob.
The Professor, features still obscured by fabric, silently watched as the crawling humanoids tried to explain, in the same emotionless tones they had employed earlier, the basics of their society. The way Vladimir recalled it was that these various beings essentially existed in a super colony, not unlike those of ants on Earth. wherein every creature worked for the collective good of the whole and occupied a strictly defined societal role, sort of like a cosmic caste system, I guess, for lack of a better
Bunch of
description.
fucking communists.
Wow.
Yeah. I said
Dark, but authentically 80s. When Vladimir was exposed to concepts that he could not comprehend with his limited vocabulary, they would, to his thanks, telepathically insert symbols or images to replace the ill-defined words. We should all be so fucking lucky.
Yeah, really. My day would be so much easier if people could do that shit for me.
Absolutely.
Simple shit. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
I would love if every time I didn't know a word, like a photograph would appear in my head or something that would be like, this.
Raspberries.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, wow. That's the picture you need.
Yeah,
raspberries.
Vladimir was then officially presented to the professor. The fighter wasted no time in cutting to the chase and demanded to know why he and his wife had been seized, adamantly adding, "Why do you need us?" The looming humanoid merely answered, "It has to be done."
So this
bigs.
this conversation's going
There you
nowhere.
go.
It has to
to
be
be
done.
done.
But promised that in compensation for the medical suffering he and his wife had endured, he would treat them to, I shit you not, a tour of the galaxy.
Oh, the Galaxy Tour!
It's like a game show. And you won a tour of the known galaxy.
Here it is, the Milky Way. Fragnor 7.
My favorite.
The
Fragment-
fucking sun!
The fucking
Fucking
sign.
sun!
Nobody.
The fucking sun.
Dude,
That's what you
What
do!
the fuck?
if my talk the galaxy was just the solar system, look, goddamn Jupiter, the fucking sun, your moon, your own goddamn. Look how close it is. Did you ever think? Nope.
God damn it, man.
Mars! Wait,
Fucking Saturn. Look at the
photos.
rings. Look at the fucking rings. The fucking. There's Pluto.
so you know what? We've cut you open. We've done shit to you, horrible shit, gynecological chairs. But you know what, kids?
Tour of the galaxy.
Or the galaxy.
The next thing Vladimir and Olga knew, they were being placed side by side in what looked like high-tech armchairs. Suddenly, everything around them, walls, ceiling, floor, became totally transparent. It was as if they were free-floating through the cosmos, surrounded by a dazzling celestial light show. That sounds pretty awesome. Like, that's some shit
sure,
that
that's
fucking
not
Disney
bad.
World
it's
needs.
like it's a super cool fucking. Like, I mean, it's Space Mountain, but yeah, cool.
Oh, yeah.
It is in
Totally.
Future World,
It
definitely.
is definitely in future world.
Definitely.
Totally. Yeah.
But I mean, if they do it right, I'm still cool with it.
Totally.
Everything looked so fantastic that it took Olga a moment to recognize the Earth, which seemed to be about the size of a tennis ball, and the fucking sun,
Yeah.
which was now nothing more than a semi-bright spot of light in the distance.
Oh no, they're
See?
leaving. They're leaving.
Just as they were adjusting to this phenomenal sight, there was a sudden burst of light, followed by an overwhelming sense of nausea. In a flash, their senses reoriented, and Olga and Vladimir found themselves staring down at an alien world unlike anything they had ever seen or imagined. The awestruck couple were then taken into an adjoining hangar-like room and escorted aboard a small cigar-shaped craft that the professor called a space boat. A nice colloquial phrase. I like.
Space boat. Oh,
Yeah, hop on a
Space boat.
space boat. We'll
There you go.
take a little tour. Once secured in the craft, the airlock disengaged, and Vladimir, Olga, and their foreign hosts found themselves flying down from the mothership to the planet below. As they entered the atmosphere and soared over the barren, pit-covered surface of the planet, the professor explained to the couple that this was their home world, a place that humans referred to as Andromeda Nebula. Suspect. We'll table that for now.
A little, and we've heard haven't we heard this referred to before
feel like
in a
we have
couple of
before.
Andromeda
UFO?
Nebula?
Plus another planet. Well, maybe it's.
I mean, it's a galaxy.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
but there's an Andromeda galaxy. Is there an Andromeda Nebula?
I don't know.
I don't know.
See, that's something that would have taken a lot of research, like
Yeah.
one Google fucking search
Whatever.
for me.
Hey.
I didn't do it.
The
Listen,
horse
this is who,
head
you know what?
nebula?
This is who we are.
This is who we are.
Love us or leave us.
Okay,
True
we
that.
don't, okay.
Hopefully love us.
Sorry, we're not up to date on our nebula knowledge.
Hey, the fucking sun. I'm not
So-
letting it go. I don't
So
care.
anyway, the professor says that human beings refer to it as the Andromeda Nebula, and that his people lived below ground in subterranean hive-like structures. The professor further explained that members of his species did not eat or drink like humans, but managed to absorb the nutrients necessary for their survival in, and I quote, a more sophisticated universal way.
Yeah, isn't it where you like smear shit on your face? You just take your own shit and put it on your face, stick it in your eyes.
That makes sense. Osmosis?
Yeah.
Poop in your eyes?
Or
more
is
sophisticated.
he being like all humble bragging because they've got straws? I mean, it doesn't sound like anything that
We
fucking
have
fancy.
straws.
Yeah,
Oh, we don't have
what does
straws
that
anymore.
mean?
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, straws are
They've
gone.
been verboten.
Yeah.
Real quick side note, I went to Doug's Fish Fry with my family. When we had a little
no,
pod break.
there's no straws.
There's no straws. And the kids were like, where are the straws? I'm like, there are none because we're killing the planet. Why do you want to kill innocent animals?
But the things they put on top of the
Yeah,
of
it
the
was
drinks
weird,
have like
though.
a flippity flap.
I'm
that
too
you
old.
just
I'm
drink out
too
of.
old for this.
I know. I can't
handle
adjust to a world
I can't
without
do
straws.
This. No.
I was
But we
fine
should
with
because
it.
straws do like choke out animals and like seals and shit choke on them, right?
Yeah,
or
that's
like
true.
birds or something die from it.
I just feel bad for your kids because they're old enough to know the joy of a straw and to suffer the consequences of living without them.
All right, so apparently this guy is too good. He's like, hey, we're sophisticated. We absorb nutrients and we don't eat and shit.
Yeah,
Maybe
Yeah.
they just
we're
shit.
fancy.
Maybe
Is
they
it
just-
like
maybe
Data?
they eat their
and
shit.
he's just like, I eat a shake full of proteins and nutrients.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't explain.
That's all you need is
I'm assuming that they just eat
vitamins
their
and-
shit. Is that fine?
That's fine.
Can I?
Why-
Can I die?
why- yeah, why
that's
are
why
you-
not.
Why are you
if they-
assuming they just
if you
eat their
need
own
them to be
shit?
Their own shit.
fecal-philiacs,
That's
I can
fine.
accept that.
Whatever. It's a more sophisticated way.
Oh, they weren't like the Dune sand suit, and they just
Yeah,
they
there's
recycle
shit.
piss and shit.
Yeah, exactly.
I always, I understood that on Arrakis, as we all know, because we're all
you have
experts.
to- you have
to
to.
recycle the sweat and the urine and drink it. That just
But
makes
what about the
perfect
shit?
sense.
Do you shit in that suit?
Is there any moisture in
There
shit?
was never, not that I know
When
of.
you're on Arrakis, you will fucking
Is
drink
there
your shit
moisture?
juice.
Yeah, there is moisture in shit.
There
is
it
there,
is.
there's a shit
Boom.
pouch?
There has to be.
Is
You
it why
can't,
the-
you
is that
can't
why the
just
asses
quickly.
of
You
the
can't
suit
take
look
that
all
off in the
weird?
desert when you're all fucking.
I
worm
never
hunting
read
or
the
whatever.
book.
What's
in
the
the
point of taking
movie-
the suit off to take a
Oh,
shit
no.
if you're going to recycle your piss?
There's a flap.
I
Yeah,
don't
there's
know.
gotta
I
be,
never
yeah.
know. I never
You
saw
shit
Tom
in the
McLaughlin's
sand.
fat.
They're not going to show that in the
Fat
movie.
flap.
Yeah, it's fat.
Fat.
Really? Jesus Christ.
I don't know.
All right.
Stefan's the only one I know. We have to refer to him. He
Yeah,
read
we
the
will.
books.
Yeah, how do you shit
I've
on a
never
do you
read
rat?
the books.
shit in the do the Fremen shit in their suits?
It's so dumb.
That's a nerdy and fucked up, but
It's so dumb.
It's brilliant.
All right.
these are issues.
All right. Well, that's Mark's poop hour. There we go. That's it.
Mark's hour.
Yeah,
Poop.
Mark's hour
the
is
fucking
shit.
sun.
That was
I
funny.
can't get past that.
No, the fucking sun.
Then, almost in passing, the professor revealed an astonishing secret that left the young couple speechless. Divulging that the Earth was not the actual home of Homo sapiens and that both human beings and cows had been brought there from another planet.
Cows.
Seated. We've been seated here.
We've been-
This is a
Why
common. This is a
fucking
common theory,
cows?
though.
Oh, it's fairly
It's pretty-
common,
yeah,
yeah.
it's
like
pretty-
almost all ancient alien theorists.
The whole we were brought here as a slave race, basically, to either be eaten or fucking
I
put
just
to work.
that makes no sense.
Well, I mean, it's
Unfortunately,
better than Adam and Eve.
the professor failed. Well, not necessarily
Is
better.
it?
It's much better.
It's just different.
Much better.
It's funner.
It's more fun, that's for
better.
sure, yeah.
Funner.
It's the funnest. Unfortunately, the professor failed to further elucidate where humans and cows originally came from or clarify any other questions like, why did we leave our native planet? Were we citizens, slaves, experiments, or simply celestial immigrants? How did Earth's indigenous species react to our arrival? Why Earth? Why cows? And when did this happen? And perhaps most importantly, to address Mark's concern, were our ancestors the real ancient aliens all along?
oh
Cows.
Shit. The fucking sun.
Cows and peeps.
Yeah, cows and humans.
The fucking
The fucking sun.
You're just inserting that wherever you can.
This is gonna be my new Heller space.
Come on,
Either
cows.
Vladimir or Olga didn't ask, or the professor refused to say. Nevertheless, I'd
course
like
he
to
didn't.
think, going back to a past episode, that the old Bozak humanoid would have been really comfortable in our original
Yeah,
homeworld.
because he's got his peeps and he's got his cow
cows,
peeps.
he's got
yeah.
people, he's somewhere. Do you think maybe he was a banished member of that society?
Oh, maybe
like the
he
twain should never
was.
breed.
Yeah.
And yet when they did, he got thrown to earth quick fast.
Man, when did he also?
I still like the original theory we had on that. Like it was him in the future
Oh yeah,
and
that's
himself.
right.
Like
yeah.
in a,
for slaughter.
yeah. Like, that was
Future
his-
death.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, the dark. Finally, the professor admitted that his race was fascinated by human beings because they were capable of feeling emotions that his people could not even fathom, much less possess. It's a common
it's
thing
the
too.
section about feelings.
People have said like
Feelings.
in other abduction cases, I wish I could cite a specific example, but like they're interested in our emotional capacities. This is something that they seem to have lacked. And I don't know if they find it advantageous or disadvantageous, but it's not the first time I've come across this idea.
You don't get just the good emotions. You get all the bad stuff too, man.
Well, that's why Vulcans betrayed it all.
Yeah.
They're like, fuck this.
Yeah.
This is garbage.
Yeah, this blows.
And so they were like, yeah,
Like a
there's
fucking-
love and ecstasy and all this, but there's also jealousy and
Depression,
bullshit and
anxiety,
envy
all
and
kinds
hate.
of shit that chews us up
But
every day.
that could also lend credence to an evolved human
Oh,
True that.
shit. Okay.
as well.
All right. I like
Okay.
that.
Happy New Year, bitch.
Following,
Keep it on the table.
God damn it. Following the tour, the tubular spaceboat re-engaged with the mothership, and Vladimir and Olga were taken back to their high-tech recliners. Once settled into the chairs, they experienced another flash of light, followed by a feeling of nausea as the ship suddenly appeared above a second unknown planet. Vladimir asked the professor how their ship could achieve such incomprehensible speeds, and the big being explained that although they were incapable of traveling faster than the speed of light, they were able to bypass that limitation by tearing through space-time itself. Vladimir would later admit that the concepts were beyond him, but Einstein surely would have been pleased.
I mean, wouldn't tearing through space-time be quicker
The
than
limitation
light, though?
of fucking...
I don't know about that.
The
but-
limitation of light speed is something that he was dead up on.
I would just think
Sure.
that if you're gonna tear through space-time, it would be quicker than light speed because you don't have to worry about distance.
Yeah. That's the
You're
principle of
worm- yeah, you're
wormholes.
wormholing
That's the principle of finding a way to go through the fabric so that if you're traveling the actual distance, you're
Right.
fucked. You're limited to whatever light speed is.
All right.
As fast as it is,
Well,
it still would make it impossible
So
to
is
go
this like
interstellar.
some weird like Willy Wonka fucking ride that they're on?
It sure seems like it.
Yeah, what the hell
like,
is it?
Like that weird boat where it was all
Yeah.
chickens being beheaded and
Yeah,
crazy
and
and
psychedelic
he's just like
lights.
doodly dee and
Yeah.
How
saying
was
weird
that in
shit.
the kids' film? I loved it though. Even as a kid, it was
Yes,
like a
and
horror
no, it's
film
fucked
moment,
up,
and
yeah.
I love that movie. I can't even front. The professor went on to expound that the reason they were able to traverse radar-covered skies without being exposed was that their spacecrafts were surrounded by a field of plasma, which not only thwarted detection technology but also made the object invisible to the human eye. I don't know how plasma works.
Yeah, I was
I'll
going to
I
say
buy
don't
the
know
same
how
thing.
plasma TV screen works,
I'll buy it.
but
I don't know if I buy it, but
well, I can
there.
almost buy like if it like fucked up somehow radar. I don't know. That doesn't make sense. But I don't know anything about radar. But it's like plasma. You know,
Yeah, it's a thing. What are you gonna do?
hiding it from the human eye. it
Yeah,
seems
you
a little
know,
shady.
it's
it's a thing, but I don't know if it has that property.
Nah, probably not, but I'll buy it.
As soon as the professor offered his explanations, Vladimir heard, telepathically, the voice of one of his mostly silent slug-like companions pipe up and tell the tall tunic-clad leader, "Now this human knows too much." Never something you want to hear.
Here we go.
The young father grew alarmed as the creature went on to insist that we cannot let the humans return home. They must either stay with us or be eliminated.
Or
And this
die,
is where
yeah.
he
Yep.
has to do Roadhouse Part 2.
Yep.
The houseiest road on the house.
Housiest road.
Oh,
Vladimir, a man who was no stranger to volatility, grew enraged at the prospect of never seeing his children again, not to mention being murdered, and told the assorted beings that he was not afraid of them, and if they attempted to kill him or his spouse, he would vigorously resist. These threats might have fallen on deaf ears were it not for the fact that Vladimir had proven repeatedly that while under duress, he was more than capable of breaking their artificially induced paralysis. Where other people, are just frozen up and they just have to deal with what happens to them. You hear that again and again in abduction lore.
Yeah.
This guy, if he really means it, he will Hulk the fuck out.
I mean,
yeah, no,
last-
he
those
gets
surly bonds
breaking the chains.
Yeah.
of alien intent.
I mean, last episode, I know we referenced Swayze a lot, R.I.P., but I think this episode we're going to say we've got some Seagal action.
Oh.
Some Under Siege, some Mr. Steven
That's
Seagal.
fair. I mean, if you want to go full 90s action hero,
Yeah, exactly.
I can live with that. After his stern admonition, the aliens, at least according to Vladimir, conversed with him in a more respectful manner. Olga, for her part, seemed not to have recorded any difference in their behavior. That might be just him
Oh, so he was like, then they
blowing himself up.
respected me.
After
yeah.
that,
Yeah.
they stepped back. Maybe
Exactly.
they just were done making threats. Maybe they told the professor.
No, dude,
what
he was
thought.
gonna fight vigorously like fucking Steven Seagal in Under Siege Part 3. And
So
he was like, guess what,
they
motherfucker?
were struck by horror.
Yeah, respect me
That's fair. That is fair.
and my property.
It was at this point that a new type of being entered the room.
Of course.
It was a decidedly feminine entity, which, like the doctors, was humanoid in appearance, but unlike the surgeons, had a nose and mouth along with her eyes.
Uh-oh.
So,
Oh,
you know,
a
she's
face.
special.
A fucking
Yeah,
face.
a fashion face.
Yeah, she got a face.
Absolutely. Although her femininity was alluring and unmistakable, Vladimir, perhaps revealing a shallow side, was decidedly put off by her bald head and her greenish-gray epidermis.
Oh, come on, man.
Where do we
She
stand
ain't
on
got
that?
hair and she got green grape.
If she's a beautiful lady with no hair and in like a pale olive green, greenish-gray
whatever,
epidermis,
dude. As long as it ain't jaundice, who cares?
Yeah, she could
I
be
can't
half
say-
orc.
I can't say I'm
yeah,
hating
half
that.
orc, whatever.
Could be Gamora.
Like, I'm not,
yeah, and Gamora's sexy as shit. Fucking all
exactly.
hell, yeah.
And even if she was bald, she'd be sexy as shit.
Still.
So it's what I'm saying.
Great.
Dude, I love
Regardless.
Amber Rose, and Amber Rose is bald. I mean,
There you go.
Yeah, there you
No,
go.
I think Vladimir's being a little picky.
I think he is.
You
Yeah.
know. In the name of science, the professor suggested that Vladimir enter into sexual congress with this woman.
Oh, and your wife's there. This is gonna go over real fucking well. Yeah, I'm gonna propose this to my wife later, but we'll see what happens.
His underlings, more concerned with the logistics, inquired, where must they place her sexual organs? And, quote, how comfortable would it be to have sex with her in such or other position? End quote. So the
Does
little
she
things
have,
are
like-
like...
does she have standard
where-
human
where they
organs?
fit. Apparently. Apparently it's all standard human except for the pigmentation.
No.
Okay.
I feel
All
like
right.
it's just a roofie experience.
All right. So they're saying like, all right, go ahead, make the sweet
Yeah,
bang
where,
bang.
where can
Yeah.
you fit it? Does it,
How do you
does
do
it
it?
work here? Does it do this?
All right.
You think they know a little more about human biology at
And
this
Vladimir's
point?
already naked.
Yeah. So
He's already
I mean,
halfway there.
There it is.
This is no.
Okay.
This is
Vladimir
no.
claimed that he was more amused by the situation than aroused, and true to character informed his hosts, sorry guys, I cannot have sexual relations with such an alien-looking female.
He wouldn't do it.
No, he wouldn't.
Well, I mean, he is married. His wife is there.
He's a saint.
He's a saint, sort of.
No, he's not.
No, he's probably regretting this to this day.
At this, the ever-accommodating aliens escorted the female to a small round platform that protruded slightly from the floor. She stood on it and was suddenly bathed in a column of brilliant light. In a matter of seconds, the woman stepped off the platform to reveal an eye-catching specimen of earthbound beauty. Little physical fucking change in the old light beam.
So she goes into the light beam, and all of a sudden she's like,
Transcended.
yeah, like she's like Kim Kardashian or something. Like, what's going on?
You're probably not that far off. In their first show of modesty, though more likely than not it was concealment, the tiny aliens covered the woman's body with what resembled a white bedsheet. With her newly minted pale skin and flowing dark hair, Vladimir marveled at how perfectly they were able to capture the essence of what was to him the archetypal ideal of feminine beauty. The martial artist knew that these beings had managed to probe his mind in order to create the perfect woman for him, and if these creatures were going to go through so much trouble, who was he to refuse their hospitality? After all, it was for science. It's for science.
I'm gonna
dude.
run this by my wife later and see. Like, look, alien, or Nick. I don't know. It was an alien Kim Kardashian. I couldn't stop. I don't
Science.
know what science.
Just throw science down and
Science.
everyone
Me and
understands.
Grass had the bang, and it was science. You have to understand.
I'm banging you for science.
No.
Oh, wait, me and you were banging.
We- some other- yeah, alien
Kim
bitches.
Alien Kim Kardashian.
You were misconstruing your own fantasies.
Just making sure. All right, cool.
Oh yeah, no, Rob's left out in the cold.
No,
Let's
there-
go.
there- there's
I
more
didn't
for
get
you.
to you, but
Fine.
we'll
There's
continue
more
that
for you.
later.
It's
I
fine.
will definitely sex for science. I love science.
Why would you not?
I mean, I have sex for science. I have 2 kids. Technically.
you go.
you
Science.
didn't do it for science.
Of course I did it.
You can. I'll
Well,
believe you. If you
damn.
choose to say it, I choose to believe
I'm
you.
the scientist. I'm the doctor.
Wow.
Yeah,
Dr.
you were
Love,
thinking
hey.
of scientists out of my apartment in Garrow Street, and we are all getting hammered, going
Yeah,
looking
that's-
for Whoppers
That
after.
actually was when my son was conceived. Eh?
Yeah.
I was at your
You're
apartment.
welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. It
was a good party.
Yeah, it was.
You and Zach can thank my party.
It's Zach,
That's true.
him and his wife conceived at that same night as well. There you go. Look at that.
You're
You know what
welcome.
that is? Science.
I can't argue.
Yeah.
To that end, getting back to Vladimir and his predicament. Vladimir claimed to have indulged in, as well as thoroughly enjoyed, the company of his now not-so-alien sexual companion. Evidently, things were going swimmingly until he just happened to glance up and catch the expression of seething rage adorning his wife's face.
Busted!
Jesus Christ.
Dude, you're in the same fucking room! Genius!
Yeah, honestly, if you're like, no, it's for science, Olga, sorry. You're just going balls deep. Like, what are you going to do? All right, well, I mean, I guess sometimes you make decisions that are not in the best interest of you and or your partner.
Facts.
And then you're like, so, but I mean, at this point, honestly, though, like with all those shit going on with this fucking caterpillar, scorpion, fucking masked ninjas and shit, and there's fucking grim reapers and there's hot alien girls, like,
you might be thinking you're
at
like
that
caught
point,
up in a full-on
you're
like
you know
nightmare.
what?
Let's just do it.
Let's just fuck. Who cares? Let's just get it over.
You know
with.
what? Because
Why
no
not?
one's going to believe any of this anyway.
Yeah, what does it matter?
But then you make eye contact with your wife,
and then,
suddenly
all of
that
a sudden,
shit gets
yeah,
real.
Reality hits. You're like,
real quick.
Oh no!
It's like, oh, fuck. In an instant, Olga became violently distraught and began shrieking for the aliens to take her husband away from that woman. The caterpillar creatures became confused by her violent outburst and innocently inquired, "You humans always mate together sexually, just like that. So what's the matter?"
So she is pissed because Vladimir again,
Bang.
is crushing the alien.
He's crushing
broad.
it, yeah.
He's crushing it.
Olga, still in a rage, responded, "No, we don't just mate. We have feelings and emotions."
Clearly something that Vladimir forgot as he's like, hey guys, we saw the fucking sun, and guess what's next? We're going to bang aliens.
Absolutely.
All right, well, there you
We
go.
saw the sun.
We saw the sun.
Vladimir, for his part, being Ukrainian and also a man, had no idea what those words meant. No, I'm just fucking around.
I was like, what?
Upon judging his spouse's reactions, Vladimir, perhaps realizing that no amount of martial arts training could protect him from his wife's wrath, wisely restrained himself from additional contact with the alien
He
female.
already banged her. What? How are you?
Dude,
why are you going to stop? You can't take it back.
Because now he saw...
You did it in
Now
front of
you
your wife,
refrain.
like a real fucking weirdo.
Like,
You're like, there's my fucking wife, and she's been going through some shit, but I'm gonna bang an alien. I get it. We're guys. We do dumb shit.
Until
I
you're
get it.
in the situation.
That's true. Don't prejudge
My
poor
wife
Vlad.
You're
would
in a
rip my
ship.
dick off.
Yeah, but when you're in a
Oh,
ship...
no, your wife would break the paralysis in a heartbeat. Your
Yeah,
dick would
well,
be on one part of the ship, the rest of you would be bleeding to death on another.
What's that? Oh, that's Mark's dick. There you go.
Oh,
I know, in,
Spain.
like, in the great alien museum of
Yeah,
like specimens.
Exactly.
This is Earth dick. It once
I
belonged to
can see
Mark
it now.
Stores.
But Nicole, she was a short alien with a great ass. I want to tell you, I'm sorry. Grip. Done. Mama don't play around. Let me tell you.
Yo,
Mama
dig in
don't
the
play.
Phantom Zone.
So
Yeah.
you are not going to pork on an alien spaceship. Now, you were totally cool. You wanted your wife to be there in the last episode, as I recall. You're like, if we're naked together in a fucking iStore or an Apple store, sorry, I
Yeah,
was
but I'm not going to
confused
be
the two.
banging an alien
I
in
know.
front of her.
So you totally wanted this, but now you're like, there's just, I'm not, I mean, like, no, I'm not suggesting that you've changed your mind. I'm just like, first you wanted her there for comfort, and now you're like, and absolutely I would respect the sanctity of our vows. I'm saying I admire it, and I think that's a pretty,
even though
pretty
I'm,
good job.
I'm in
buddy.
a spaceship doing some shit, I'm still married. Unless she's like, go ahead and bang the short, hot alien with the fabulous ass.
Okay,
Go
well,
for it.
you
if
have-
she said that, then I'd be like, all right, game on.
Yeah, you have to ask.
Yeah, you gotta ask
Oh,
permission.
dude, you know what? If you get permission,
Dude,
it'll
my
be that
wife-
begrudging liar's permission. It's like, oh yeah, if you want to go
For
ahead,
years,
but you know you're fucked.
Dude, for years, she had a crush on Matt Lauer.
Oh, God bless
who
her.
turned out to be a creep.
See?
But
Right.
alien Matt Lauer, well, you know, whatever. You can only live once. What are you gonna do?
Utterly perplexed, like the
Perfect.
fucking rest of us. The professor shook his head and noted in almost a bemused tone, "We do not understand you. Why haven't you, intelligent animals, destroyed yourselves yet? How can you survive with your emotions?" He just doesn't get it.
I mean, he's not wrong.
I mean, he sees it. He sees the fiery shit.
Yeah, he's not
like
wrong.
if human beings could be objective, if we were always thinking about what was best, say, for the individual that is us and our biological needs, and what is best for the society in which we exist that helps promote our safety and health,
Right.
which is what civilization ostensibly is for,
Totally.
then there would not be war. There would not certainly be racially and sexually motivated crimes. All of these things that are like these hideous fucking atrocities that the human race has continually had to deal with, that shit would like back burner itself immediately. Like if we bred to propagate. Now I'm not saying this would be good because again we were talking about the trade-off earlier.
No.
What
Unfortunately,
would be, the abolishment of all that hideous shit would be good.
That would be phenomenal.
But
if we could rise above the bullshit, but we still got to fuck.
So I can understand where an alien that doesn't have emotions would be like, how the fuck do you guys live? How the fuck do you not
to them,
manage
it would
to
be
kill
super
yourself?
fucking complicated.
And it is true. I mean, and people have done mad self-destructive and unfortunately proto-destructive things because of jealousy and whatnot. So I get where they're coming from, but I think the ultimate dream for all of us is to retain our emotions, yet let the better angels prevail. Like, let's not hurt people for dumb reasons. Let's not do anything shady.
No, don't be shitty.
Let's just fucking hug and shake hands and hands across America and do all the good shit human beings can
Look
do.
at us,
this
right?
land
Was
I
that it?
love.
Like in Us, Hands Across America?
Oh, This is was it just called Us?
It was Us, yeah.
Yeah, the
title of
movie.
Oh,
Yeah, totally.
that's an interesting film.
It was
a lot
actually,
of rabbits.
it was creepy.
Oh, it's got some holes.
Yeah,
All right.
It's still good, though.
We're gonna get back on track. I know it's hard for us. We're gonna do this.
All right.
It was then that the professor decided to get down to brass tacks and enlighten his human guests as to what exactly his species' purpose was in abducting them and others like them, explaining that their principal task, beyond bio and psych research, was to teach Earthlings about extraterrestrial technology. Their explosive lover spat now behind them, Vladimir and Olga listened with rapt attention as the towering being explained that there was a space war raging across the universe. That just got fucking real.
No, of course there is.
Oh, there's fucking Star Wars.
Why
dude.
wouldn't there be?
Yeah.
The professor went on to explain that this war was quite literally of biblical proportions. And what's more, Earth was the epicenter of the whole battle. The professor summed up their indigenous world's celestial significance for the captivated couple, stating, "The entity that you call God has implanted much information into the earth and into the waters of it. Those who are against God want that information destroyed."
Oh, this took a
All right.
turn.
So there's God, but not even God.
See?
An entity you call
This
God.
took a turn.
Doesn't
that's like-
matter.
All right, okay.
I know we've used this before. I've used it before.
Dude,
but
there's a battle of good and evil, dude. Where are we?
John Carpenter's Prince
All
of
right,
Darkness,
I know
where
you
it's
love
about
it.
celestial beings
We mention it every
being
episode.
deified. We've
Okay,
mentioned it
here
a
we
few
go.
episodes, but guess what? It's a fucking phenomenal
Keep
film.
going.
And
Keep going.
it's valid.
It is. Keep going.
All right, Chris is chanting.
He's mad. Are you happy?
All right.
Reel him in
I
slowly.
didn't listen. I didn't fucking write this. I mean, I
Once
wrote
I start
this, but I
chanting.
didn't make this up.
Okay.
Okay. So, this entity we call God, this impossibly powerful and beneficent entity, has created Earth as basically an information storage unit. And in the waters and I guess the soil and geological fractures or whatever else, information is embedded.
Okay, so it's like a giant hard drive.
And so that's why
It's the cloud.
it's the cloud. Well, it's the solid cloud.
It's the literal cloud.
The liquid, earthy cloud.
No, it's literally a giant fucking cloud.
But
Full
Earth
of
isn't a
information.
cloud. All right,
for
fine.
for the
All right, all
fucking
right.
galaxy.
It's the cloud.
Follow me.
Does that make you happy?
Yes, the cloud.
All right.
Thank you.
Earth is the cloud.
Just agree with Mark.
And that's why it's in the center
All right.
of this war.
Obviously. And we're sweet.
Well, I don't know how important we are to
All
it.
right, well.
It just happens to
but,
be
but
where it's
Probably
at.
what
not.
about the enemies of God?
I'm going to get to it.
Oh, Creator Ed.
Let him continue,
Sorry.
and then I'll tell you why this is dumb.
Okay. Perfect.
The professor went on to add a comforting caveat for those of us who happen to live here. If the Earth is going to be destroyed, the Son of God would arrive on Earth again and will restore everything living on it.
Is it a do-over?
What happened?
It's a do-over.
You get a do-over.
So
What
if this
happened?
No,
great
this is good. A do-over's good.
celestial war ends
Yeah.
up tearing the Earth in twain, and all the information
Twain.
and the giraffes and eels and everything else that fucking live on it.
But fuck
Yeah,
penguins. You
no,
don't
just
need 'em.
giraffes and eels.
Yeah, no, fuck them.
Yeah,
and the
penguins.
Dutch.
Hey.
And the Dutch and giraffes and eels.
No,
Yeah,
the Dutch are good people. They got clocks.
That's why they're going to live,
Yeah, I
and
know.
you're not.
They've got the clocks. and
you
the
and your
windmill.
Brandon
All right,
Ralph
fine.
hair.
Leave my Brandon Ralph hair alone.
I just no, it's great. I love
You
it.
really have beautiful hair. I mean, it's pretty sexy.
Thank you.
It's transcendent.
You
All right,
whatever.
let's get back to
You guys-
Earth.
You guys got garbage fires for
It's
hair.
so-
All right, so shut up.
Wow.
Yeah, you
Wow.
have hair.
You're no. My hairline is about as receding as yours.
I know. I'm trying to hide it. It's not working out
Don't
for
even
me.
front.
Okay, so let's say that the world ends. This guy is saying all of a sudden, boom, it's reset. You got extra lives.
Because Earth is
It's
so important.
in Mortal Kombat.
Jesus is going to reset time.
An
All right, cool.
endless amount of quarters on the
Awesome.
console,
All right,
and
yeah.
and Jesus is going to keep feeding it in and rebooting because
I like that idea.
It's important. It is a comfort, like I say. It is a comfort.
And if this really all is a simulation, that kind of makes
Reset
sense.
time.
I don't think a simulation has anything to do with this.
You don't know that yet.
No, in fact, everything this is hinged on is depending on how corporeal it is and the fact that the information embedded therein needs to be preserved, ergo it can be restructured through celestial technologies
No.
that seem deity-like in its grandeur.
You mean angel engines?
Oh.
Yeah, Inception.
I mean, technically,
Robert,
if it's
continue.
infinitely restructurable, then
Yeah,
I could
exactly.
technically say
These are the things we're supposed to talk about at the end, guys.
Okay,
All
we
right,
will.
fine. Well, we're already doing it.
You guys jump in, so I'm just joining in.
All right,
I'm just
Robert,
saying.
continue.
Much like in the case of the origins of humans and bovines, their host failed to explicate further on who was fighting this epic war and what exactly Earthlings were supposed to do with the alien tech that they were hypothetically going to learn about. In fact, he failed to even indicate on which side he was fighting. And I gotta say, emotionless creatures that can't really engage, it would almost be like they'd be fighting for the science
You would think,
and
yeah.
against the god.
Okay.
But who knows? I mean, maybe they were allies, and even though they couldn't hug with all of their hearts, they still wanted justice to prevail. Discussions of these lofty spiritual matters forced Vladimir to ask the professor about the nature of death. The lanky extraterrestrial claimed that his people did not fear death because it simply did not exist. He further asserted that dying was merely a transition into a different form of existence, which is about it's standard ops.
But if there's a constant restart, then yeah, you're going to be like, death
or
doesn't
just
matter.
the
Yeah.
energy can't be created or destroyed or who knows what. Before the discussion could be continued, Vladimir and Olga felt the mothership coming to a halt. They drifted past Earth's lonely, pock-smothered satellite and looked down through the transparent floor of the craft to see the distinct bluish-green marble they called home.
Oh, we're almost there.
Earth.
All right, we're almost there.
The caterpillar critters then ushered Olga and Vladimir back into the cylindrical space boat. This craft rapidly descended over oceans and continents until it punched through the cloud cover, piercing Ukrainian airspace before it finally slowed to a stop above the couple's Dubno
we're
home.
getting off the ride.
It has to end
The ride's
eventually.
going to end.
All
It's
right.
like, it's like this is the third act of the movie. It's coming to a conclusion.
All right, cool.
Before being encapsulated in a beam of light and being transported through the roof of their house back to their waiting and most likely terrified children.
We forgot the kids were still there.
They're there the whole
Shit.
time.
Well,
Babies.
duh.
The humanoids aboard the shuttlecraft promised the Voronezhskys that they would return in 2 years' time in order to continue their training.
Don't come back. To stay
It is
away.
unclear whether or not they made good on their pledge.
Yeah.
For their part, Olga and Vladimir, understandably exhausted by their ordeal, passed out immediately. At approximately 11 a.m. the subsequent morning, Vladimir and his wife Olga awoke, but did not speak about their wild intergalactic adventure. Unbeknownst to each other, the two were both convinced that they had suffered some sort of bizarre nightmare, if not outright hallucination, that had been triggered by their sighting of the strange lights the night before. So they're both thinking they're just tripping balls at this point.
All right.
Sure.
Well, they could have been.
They could have been.
They could have been.
As the day wore on, their memories of this harrowing event did not burn away like a morning mist in the harsh glare of the hot sun, as most bad dreams are wont to do, but lingered and grew more intense until both Olga and Vladimir began to instinctively fear for their sanity. So they're just thinking they're losing their shit at this point. Finally, one of them broke their infernal silence, and as they gushed forth their mutual memories of the UFOs, the professor, the caterpillar ninjas, and the faceless surgeons, the couple realized that what had transpired was not a dream, but an actual event. Vladimir and Olga were relieved to be sane, but also terrified by the ramifications of their abduction. Not knowing what else to do, they contacted one of Vladimir's friends from Kiev, a man who had studied and was fascinated by UFOs by the name of Yuri Stepanov. Yuri had Vladimir draw pictures of the luminous craft which had abducted them. He complied, detailing it with an array of multicolored lights around its perimeter, a dome top, and a large column of violet-white light which projected from its center. He also drew sketches of the various creatures that he and his wife had encountered. Concerned that they may have been exposed to something dangerous, Olga requested that she and her family undergo extensive medical tests to see if they had suffered any contamination, either from radiation or unknown bacteria. She was also concerned that the faceless doctors might have implanted tracking mechanisms during her disturbing medical procedure. The doctors could find no trace of implants or of surgery.
Is insurance going to cover that, you think? Probably not.
I don't know. I don't know how it works in the Ukraine.
Yeah.
Eastern Bloc Insurance.
Eastern Bloc
Post Eastern
Yeah.
Bloc
Yeah.
Insurance.
Welcome to Eastern Bloc Insurance.
Oh, God. Perfect
Yeah,
commercial.
not gonna do it.
Despite the Voronezhskiy's fears about the long-term health consequences of interplanetary travel and what it might have and what effects it might have on the human body, it turned out that the trip had actually improved their well-being.
Oh,
Perks.
is this like essential oils and crystals and shit?
Perhaps.
Magnets.
I'm going to fucking
Magnets.
straighten your chakra with some crystals and oils. Yeah.
Wow, that's kind of alluring. Thank
You
you.
like that?
Vladimir lost all of his gray hairs and noted a marked increase in stamina after the abduction. Olga was not only cured of her chronic colitis, thank God, that's
Yeah,
some
that
horrible
sucks.
shit to
That's
have to endure,
terrible.
but she allegedly gained the uncanny ability to purposefully make a drunken individual sober simply by resting the palm of her hand on the person's forehead for a period of 2 to 3 minutes.
We could use us an Olga.
Dude, I honestly
Jim,
thought you
before
were
we leave,
fucking
really,
around.
yeah.
Like, some,
No, it seemed like it. Yeah,
occasionally
no.
you
No,
you
that's
fuck
dead on.
around.
No,
Yeah.
I was
Olga-
like, oh wait, I'm going to wait for him to be like,
Yeah,
I'm
no,
fucking around.
Olga
and
shows
you
up
weren't-
when you're drunk and she's like sober and she just gives you the fuck. Dude, imagine that. You're at a party with Olga and you're like, I'm fucking hammered but gotta go home. Olga, touch me. And it's boom, you're sober and you're like, fucking drink again, I lied.
It's
Perfect.
A perfect end to a perfect
What,
life.
Yeah.
What's your X-Men name? Sober?
So sober.
Grateful as they were for their health and to be reunited with their children, there was a decided dark side to their experience, which came in the form of the incessant scorn they received from strangers, neighbors, and even those they had once considered friends. They stood accused of being nothing more than publicity-hungry drunks. That's a real quote.
Why didn't she fucking help him out?
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, really.
By people who didn't even know them.
And not for nothing, let's not forget that Vladimir here was banging an alien in front of his wife.
So
I mean,
those
he's-
scars don't heal quick.
No. Because
No.
when she gets back on Earth, she's gonna find herself a man, and then there you go.
She's at least going to make his life a living hell.
Yeah, she's gonna start. Oh, he's fucked.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
No,
let's
that's
get to the end
the
of this.
underpinning of this whole
Yeah,
story.
he's fucked.
Okay. We can wrap this up. In an effort to silence their tormentors, on January 27th, 2012, Vladimir made the long journey to Moscow in order to undergo a televised polygraph test, which was to be aired on the Russian talk show Pro-Life. No comment.
Okay, weird.
On February 10th of that same year. The test was administered by polygraph specialist Volodin Igor Konstantinovich, the most Russian name that has
I
ever
don't even.
fucking happened.
Yeah, that's
He basically is a walking hammer and sickle.
Like he was
Is
in
that
the
what he is?
gulag with fucking
Yeah.
Solzhenitsyn.
Seriously.
It's just nuts. Who had this to say about Vladimir's experience? And I quote, I can say that he believes in all of the things that happened to him. Talking with extraterrestrial beings, alien experiments, visiting other galaxies. Maybe it was really a dream. Maybe he was really flying somewhere. Either way, he believes it strongly.
No, there we
Televised
are.
polygraph facts.
All right,
I
so
don't-
let's
I
get
don't even know.
started
There's
with
so much.
have some of
There's a
that,
lot.
and then I'm gonna pee.
There's a fucking ton. All right, so this is literally fucking out there.
It is.
So let's start with, again, we got to take every angle here, every possibility. So let's start with the most terrestrial of that. Maybe they were just partying a little bit too much, got a little bit way super fucked up. He may have banged someone in front of his wife, and this was the end of it.
Whoa.
Just
All right, so
saying.
first off, are
Wow,
we going back to
wow.
the traveling rave?
Yeah, we
Where
could
they
be.
were fucking like
There's nothing wrong with
tripping
the
their
traveling
tits
rave.
off,
Yeah.
and in the the act of just doing whatever they were doing in normal terrestrial environments.
Yeah.
He just ends up porking somebody and weird shit happens.
Listen.
She ends up in someone's recliner and thinks her
Listen.
guts are splayed out.
We have to look at all
Yeah.
angles. The
Randy's there, but he doesn't have a face all of a sudden.
Yeah,
Randy.
Yeah, faceless Randy. Yeah,
Ukrainian
It's a cruel
faceless
nickname.
Randy.
But it's absolutely true.
yeah. So maybe they could have had a crazy night. Things got out of control.
But to have a mutually shared hallucination.
That's
That's
the
the
one.
crux.
I know that's
yeah,
the
no,
thing
that is. Unless maybe he was kind of like pressuring her, like, "Hey, do you remember this? Do you remember?" Like trying to like
That's true.
push it out on.
All right,
onto
so
her.
maybe she was a little bit dosed up or roofied, as you mentioned earlier, and just not out of it. And he got busted cheating, and he's trying to mold this entire
He's like,
tale
no, you
around
don't remember the caterpillar scorpion smoking Sub-Zero and fucking whatever else.
He was
in
on
Ermac.
acid. She was roofied.
Yeah.
They were both fucked.
There you go. Shit happened. That's a
But
possibility.
that's certainly a possibility.
It's a possibility.
I will say this for the skeptical side. There is nothing that makes my hackles go up and my radar fucking ding more than, and your home planet is the center of a celestial war.
No.
Yeah, 'cause
and your importance is so epic that if everything gets wiped out, the grand deity of your world will not only, rebuild it, but, will do so with every living thing intact because you're special and perfect and Earth. I have a hard time with
Yeah.
that.
No, me too. Although
Well,
that
it
is
goes-
not uncommon.
No, it's very common.
very common.
Which lends to me to think it's more of a narcissistic fantasy rather than.
Okay.
But then again, if Earth happens to be the hard drive of the Lord,
If we're the iCloud, yeah.
There's no reason to think that.
but there's no reason to
mean,
say
not-
it's not.
not
No,
really,
listen,
but-
Chris is right. I just said why I don't like it, and so I agree with you. On the other hand, just to play devil's advocate, there is a slim possibility it's true. But I agree. There's no reason to assume.
There's a slim possibility almost anything is true.
Yes. So,
But-
all right, I
but-
grant you, and now I'll let you continue because your skepticism is well founded here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it goes from like an encounter and then it goes into cinematic wonderland.
Which is kind of like look at what happened to dude with also
a lot of it does, yeah.
he goes to this like super future world with a space needle and a magic shield comes out, and
If he tried to twist and turn this in some manipulative way where he's just kind of, pushing this bullshit narrative of fucking seeing the Grim Reaper and random fucking scorpion creatures and slug-like huts and shit like that, if they're just, fucking super,
it is a batshit crazy
junkies
story.
or whatever, then, I could see that. But I think obviously what I like to do is look at the fun aspect and be like, well, what if they actually really did go to the stars and see this?
You have to at least entertain it.
All right, so let's take the skeptical view off the table because that's what we do, and we go right for the fun. We go right for the ball pit.
You go for the fun.
I love the ball pit. I'm always
You
in the ball
love the
pit.
fucking Chuck E. Cheese ball
If you
pit.
give me a fucking bounce house, I'm fucking there.
That's true.
Listen, I'm
Chris
there.
is outside with disinfectant. You're fucking you're jumping around.
I'm living in sanitizer.
I love a ball pit. I love a good ball pit. So, all right. I guess for whatever reason, other humans that they may have contacted have no recollection and or aren't talking about this, and they're just the chosen few.
Or the other people they've talked. I mean, it's a dead up fact that most people that have weird experiences do not report them.
Right.
I've speculatively said, maybe 1 out of every 10 reports. But Stanton Friedman, the nuclear physicist,
Yeah,
rest
totally.
in peace, who
R.I.P.
did great UFO research. He would talk about going into a room and saying, raise your hand if you've seen something anomalous. Now put your hands up if you've reported it. And he would report up to 90% of hands going down.
Right, because nobody wants
If
to talk
not
about
more.
it. Nobody
So,
wants to be that person,
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, so...
Because there's a stigma involved of it, obviously. And even with these people here, the Voronezhskys, they came out and were like, yeah, this is what happened. And everyone's like, they're fucking drunks. Who cares? You can't trust them. So, which is
Yeah.
interesting that people claim that because it makes you kind of think like, well, what are they getting into? Or what kind of
Yeah,
neighbors
but we
are they? Are they a
drink,
good neighbor?
And we're not getting abducted. All right, they might be
Are they-
shitty neighbors.
are they good neighbors?
They might be loud, obnoxious, douchey
Exactly.
neighbors. But that doesn't mean they're
Bad.
wrong.
I'm not,
Bad
I'm
neighbors.
I'm not judging him by his tracksuit that he's wearing in the picture. I'm just saying.
You're judging them a little
might
by that
be.
tracksuit.
Yeah.
No,
You
because
might
I
be.
have tracksuits as well.
I've never seen you wear a tracksuit.
Because I can wear them at home.
Yeah, because
You
you've got
don't
something
go
called
out in public with a tracksuit.
It's a thing. So let's just say that all this crazy shit did happen to them. They're like, we're going to be back in 2 years. Either they came back and didn't say anything, or they fucking never came back.
True.
And
But aliens lie.
aliens do lie. And apparently humans bang aliens in front of their wives.
Evidently, in this case.
Evidently. Or possibly their neighbors in front of their wives.
So,
Skeptically speaking.
are you dipping into like weird like neighborhood swingers parties now
Just
that
saying,
might not have
something
extraterrestrial
could have gone south.
implications?
Something could have gone south. Things may have happened. People may have forgotten.
Oh, no.
People may have manipulated situations into something that they weren't. And the next thing you know, There is no fucking block
I thought
party.
you were leaving the skeptic on the table.
There's no block party.
You barely
No,
put
he's
it on
lying.
the edge of the
I know.
table, then you shoved it right back in the
There is
middle.
no block party. So
Here's the thing.
It's always a little on the table.
It's hard to know. It's hard to know.
A little bit.
Yes, it always has to be on the table. But it's hard to know. And like I say, I'm always really skeptical of Earth-centric stories. And maybe it's
same
just
here.
because Galileo couldn't fucking leave his house, genius that he was, because he deigned to suggest that Earth wasn't the center of the universe.
Right.
So anytime I bristle against that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that Earth could not have some significant part to play in this.
What if we are the fucking center of the universe because we are the most emotionally feeling beings in the galaxy? What if our emotions, what we conceive as being our mental crutches, are actually what we fucking strive for, like Rocky Dennis and Mask?
All right, no, your analogy completely
I don't even
melted.
know.
Yeah. You were going somewhere, and I was even willing to fucking follow you.
I don't
and
know.
then you had a complete meltdown. You
Because
Chernobyl at
Rocky
the end.
Dennis, R.I.P., was a proud patriot.
Wow.
With
Just
Cher and
keep
Sam
going.
Elliott.
No, let
Yeah.
me stand here quietly while you talk.
Maybe that's an interesting theory, though. Maybe because we do have emotions and we can feel and we are empathetic and we are fucking... It's almost like a weird scale. Like, we're empathetic and we're emotional, but we're also fucking terrible fucking monsters.
So,
Maybe-
but basically, like you're saying, like a lot of Abrahamic origin stories that say God made human beings in his image, it's basically because he's an emotionally turmoiled, mayhem-ridden, loving and adoring, yet sometimes monstrous being.
Yeah,
and if you
he's
look at the
a
Old
fucking-
Testament, that's 100% what happens
He
nonstop.
or she is a 12-year-old fucking emo kid.
So
yeah.
if that's the case, and we're special because we're just as fucked up as our creator and
Yeah.
everything else are these like sort of semi-automatons, they're like, hey man, we're just getting through life. What's your
Yeah,
deal?
we're just trying to fucking make
That
it.
would
And
be
you guys
the-
are here with anxiety.
That
Like,
would be
what are
the
you doing?
weirdest, worst reason to be important in the universe, I think. If we were just like the super being made us like them,
No,
and
it
so
would
other
be.
things are fascinated with us because we're like the super being, but really being like the super being is a shit show of raw emotions.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That-
Welcome
see,
to the
no,
human race.
listen.
That could literally be the human
If
condition right
Old
there.
Testament God is real,
Right.
that's terrifying.
Oh, it's mean.
Okay,
It's
well,
scary.
like
mean.
that's
He-
horrible.
Well, drowning everyone but 7 people and all the animals that didn't even do anything.
That's a terrifying thought.
yeah.
Okay.
It's a horror show.
So maybe our emotions and our capacity to love and also our capacity to hate and kill, maybe that's what makes us special.
I think we're getting a little deeper. What we're getting as deep as Vladimir would approve, I think.
Vladimir would enjoy this.
But I'm more interested, I guess, in the idea of that they might have had a real experience and just been lied to. Like I say, aliens are notorious, filthy fucking liars.
Now, that's interesting.
They're always like, well, come back next Tuesday. We're going to take you on another ride. This is all fucking great. But they never show back up or they never give them the evidence they're supposed to have to present to the world, to fucking do whatever. Like, time and time again. Which, again, and I'm not even going to go into ultra-terrestrial land with this. It's just a hallmark of alien-human interaction. If you're going to assume that a lot of it is as it is illustrated, and I understand why you wouldn't necessarily. I get it.
There's only one variable that makes it the fact that there's 2 of them. If this was just dude and he had this
Right.
experience, I'd
True.
be like, you are on the dopest dope.
yeah.
Give me
it
some of
is-
that dope because
it
I want
is-
to be on that dope.
It is the
but there's
dope
2.
beyond, yeah.
So now I'm like, fuck.
But that's what I'm saying.
What do I do
They
with
might
this?
have had a legitimate
That's what
interstellar
I'm saying.
experience with non-human entities, but it doesn't mean the shit they were saying to them was the truth.
Right. They could have they could
No,
have I
no,
mean
right.
they could have been fucking with them.
If you want to go on
100%.
the other side, there's a lot of people that say the one way to I don't know a lot of people, but a certain amount of people, to negate a gray abduction is to invoke the name of God. These people would say that these are demonic entities. Again, not something I necessarily subscribe to.
All
I'm
right.
more of
This
a
say-
alternate
put-
species.
put the
So
Satan on
if
the
you
table.
think that, if you think these are diabolical agents, not aliens, but demons with tech straight from hell, looking all sorts of weird and
Hell
trying
tech.
to engage these people, and then what better way to confuse the human race than to spin this yarn of this great war and you guys are in the middle of it and we're going to teach you things but we're not. And what did their lives get after this happened?
Just
shitty,
yeah.
super shitty.
Totally.
And even after he passed a polygraph test on Moscow TV,
Right.
and I think he might have
No.
failed one before, but he passed. He went on TV.
Oh,
He took his
the pro life channel failed him.
but no. He passed on the pro life. But my point is this: No, really. You pass or fail, it's regardless. Their lives became a shit show.
Well, yeah,
now,
they're going
maybe
to,
Olga could sober people up, but think of the grief their kids got. Like, hard enough that they're just being, like, ostracized by their peers and neighbors for coming forward. If there is a demonic agent and they want to just F people up that might be on the cusp.
You're taking the fucking...
I'm just saying what if. It's hypothetical.
This is good.
Then what better way than to show people like a good time and make the guy, tempt the guy to cheat on his wife and do all sorts of shit and expose them to their own nudity and probe them and do weird things. Like, we can cut you open and sew you back up and you'll never know the difference, but you'll be terrified by the memory of your own shit and blood smell. And you are left scarred. They spent the whole day thinking they were going insane. The rest of their life, maybe even forever, being pariahs in the eyes of their peers. That's something evil would do to you.
This is some crazy fucking evil plot.
But like, if you were really that evil, why wouldn't you do it to somebody in some kind of power and really try to break?
The Prime Minister of Japan, either the most recent one or the second most recent one, his wife claimed to be an alien abductee. But I agree with Chris. I'm not saying I believe in the diabolical agent theory.
No, I'm
putting it out there.
I'm just saying if that is a thing, you think you would go for some top brass.
Impact.
Right.
And try to break it down from the highest.
All right, let's
if there was an agenda
well, if it is diabolical, then it has an agenda. If it really is about a war between good and evil, let's just put it on the table. Like, listen. I know we're all skeptical of it. Just hypothetically, it's on the table. Maybe God won't let you start a nuclear war, so you can't like torment the first family or the premier of Russia or whatever else, or president now, whatever it is. You can't do the things like Chris is saying of the high echelon because it'll cause too much damage and it'll put you on the radar. So you do this insidious little shit to average folks that just takes a life that could be a normal like family life that would have gone on and their kids might have grown up to do whatever but hopefully been happy, and then they just spiral out of control and your dad's stigmatized as a drunk and your mom is a sober making mutant, fucking whatever else is going on. Sober. And just making life shitty one by one seems like a hell of a demonic fucking trait.
Yeah. It
again, hypothetically saying.
With that definition of demonic, yeah, totally. 100%.
Because if you do the big picture shit, then God just steps in. Fuck you.
Maybe he doesn't, though.
Well, maybe he doesn't.
God has, New Testament God has a real, he's got a good level of not interfering.
That's true.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, he literally, since a long time ago.
Yeah, but listen, that's not what I'm debating.
Right.
What I'm saying is if it's hypothetically true that this is really demons v humans v angels or whatever, then that could explain that. But I'm not saying I buy that. And we could go
I'm not saying I do. I'm not saying I do either.
Totally.
But that's just one more theory. So you got the, trying to fucking confuse your wife about the horrible affair you had.
The weird
with
fucking
drugs.
The weird EDM fucking Ukrainian rave that happened, and you fucked a girl in front of your wife and she's pissed, but you're like, no, baby, remember the aliens and this and that. I love you and all the kids. Look, oh God. You've got the possibility that we are super fucking emotional beings in the middle of the fucking planet that everything revolves around because we're so fucking amazing, and or you're being attacked by fucking diabolical beings because they just like to fuck with us.
Or let's just take this at face value. Earth really is a hard drive, and so these different factions, and it didn't say God like in a deified form, but like the thing you call God.
Right.
Anything that could create us, like Arthur C. Clarke said, and I know we say it all the time, anything significantly enough advanced would appear to be magic to people that don't understand it.
Totally.
So they're just using hypertech. And there is a war, and Earth has information, and maybe it's like like not nonstop, like say Europe in World War II, but like because space is so vast, the war is happening in little parts. If it all is legit, it's kind of fucking crazy, but maybe it would make sense. Like you just do random abductions, and it's not even because these people are important. They're just these people living their lives in Dubno. It's because a grandchild or great grandchild is going to be pivotal, and maybe they can see that far ahead. Maybe they're not temporally enslaved like we are, and they can see what's going on. And maybe, like when they always say, well, why are they coming to like a farmer somewhere instead of like going to the president? Well, who the fuck knows? But it doesn't mean that every time a farmer sees a UFO, they're wrong for one thing. Right. And it might have an agenda that runs much deeper than what seems obvious, because it's so easy to poo-poo all of this.
Well,
And with good reason, I get it. And a lot of times I do too. But every now and again, you think maybe they are privy, if they have the kind of technology they have and they have the kind of expansive knowledge that they seem to have, maybe they're playing fucking chess, and not just like 3-dimensional, but like 11-dimensional fucking string theory chess that we just don't fucking get. So it just seems like they just fucked up this family's lives. But maybe it's an essential part of the fabric of the cosmos.
All right, well, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that we are just monkeys with anxiety, love, hate, fear, and killing, and we are the center of the universe, and that's why people are interested in us. Christopher?
Those are two very different theories, by the way.
Christopher, what do you think?
No, it could be drugs.
Drugs? All right.
Could be not drugs.
Cool.
Celestial fucking chess.
Celestial chess.
It's tough when it's two people.
I like celestial chess.
It's tough when it's two people.
Yeah.
It's hard to really
when there's two
argue.
people that are going there. I mean, obviously, if it is something where he's fucking, pushing her or whatever, all right, I get it. But let's just take it at face value, like Rob said, and say, all right, yeah, there are two people that experience this. So what possibly fucking could this be? And I'm just saying that because we're an emotional monkey.
We are.
People fucking love us.
I wouldn't argue that.
The whole fucking galaxy
loves us.
We are
animals. We are emotional.
And that's
Our
why
intelligence has allowed us to fucking succeed in a lot of ways. But boy, sometimes it makes day-to-day life a business.
That is why the Grim Reaper type professor came to us and was like, bang the alien.
What if that
I will
species
give you the fucking information.
shows
and
up
there
to
you go.
like transition you gently to the other side, but
Yeah.
now because a few people have seen it, he gets represented as this evil scythe-wielding
Exactly.
fiend.
So
that
I'm
might
actually
be.
going. Surprisingly, I'm going with their story.
All right.
I'm on team Voronezhskiy. Right?
Voronezhskiy.
Voronezhskiy. All right, Robert. Closing thoughts.
The world is amazing. The universe is a expansive and unfathomable place. And even though on the surface things may seem absurd, and may often be, and Occam's razor dictates you don't just buy everything that fucking flies down the pike. Perhaps every now and again something really is epic and substantial, and even though you can't see all of its moving parts, you just have to accept it for what it is.
All right, there you go. Thank you all so very much for joining us for the Dubno Abductors Part 2.
Yes,
That was-
it's fun.
That was a
crazy.
lot.
It
That was a
makes you
lot.
think, if nothing else.
Totally.
I'll give this
Yeah.
case this. It is batshit crazy. That's part of its joy, but it definitely makes you think. And fucking, let's just cut to the real chase. Where did we come from, and why cows and
go?
humans?
Yeah, why cows and humans?
Is it just what we eat?
Maybe
is it
we'll
what
find
while
more
we drink
stories.
the milk?
You never know.
Oh, I forgot about the
maybe the
cows.
milk.
God damn it.
Gotta have the cows, the milk.
I love
The milk.
cereal. I love Captain Crunch, and I can't eat that shit without milk.
Yeah, I don't like milk, though.
Really?
Yeah, not at all.
Do you like
Whole,
cereal?
whole milk.
No.
Whole milk.
I'll only drink whole milk.
Yeah, I'll drink whole
Yeah, I
milk.
don't like,
That's
I
it.
don't, I don't drink
Seriously,
I don't
what do you
drink
eat
any-
with your cereal?
I don't eat cereal.
Oh!
I just don't.
Oh!
This is why you're an unhappy man. Because
I'm
you
a
didn't
very
grow up
happy
with
man.
cereal.
I'm a very
You're
happy.
denying
Bullshit.
your celestial heritage.
You're trying to be Superman. You're not happy.
I stopped eating cereal in like my 20s. I can't eat it. I don't know what
Bullshit.
it is. I just can't eat it.
All right.
So thank you all so very much for joining us. You know what? Send us some messages. Let us know what your take on the Dubno Abductors is. And social medias, the Instas, the Twitters, and the Facebooks. Hit us up there. patreon.com/Kryptonaut Podcast. Thank you all so very much for those that contribute to that. It's
Thank
pretty
you.
awesome. This week we actually had a lot of people join.
Really?
But the emails kept popping, and I'm like, no, that many people aren't joining.
Bless
I'm like,
your
no.
ever-loving hearts.
Thank y'all so
Jeez,
very
all right.
much. T-Public, we're going to have some T-shirts coming up there soon. Stick around for that. And October's going to be Paranormal Month. So be sure to shoot us all your stories.
All
If
the
you got
time.
any stories or
More
anything
me
you want us
being
to,
mad.
Yeah, Chris is just going to get
The
angry.
more fucking paranormal it gets, the more enraged Chris will be. That's going to be part of the
There's
joy.
a graph. We'll post a graph.
Yeah.
I'll Chris's anger and his drunkenness and
Yeah.
where they meet.
Ghosts versus wrath.
But we are planning
X and Y.
on doing a lot of paranormal stuff in October. So
I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun.
yeah, be sure to shoot us any stories or information. I think any kind of creepy stuff you got that we might be able to talk about. So
It's not to say we're not going to do paranormal shit beyond October at some
no,
point, too.
but I mean it's October. Yeah, I want paranormal shit.
We're definitely going to do it in October.
Totally. There you are. There it is. Thank y'all so very much, and we're talking to you soon.